So yeah, so thanks for doing this. Like, I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
that's all right. No worries. Thanks for having us.
How did you guys get together in that then? What was the story behind the band?
So we were three of us were in a previous band called Sister Ray, and that was probably 2018 that we were doing the most, the most gigs we were doing ever.
Yeah.
We played like the 100 Club and supported Fontaines on one of their early
Oh, did
shows.
you?
Yeah, it was great. Like we were more punky than what Abbey Moon is, but like we were gigging a lot, and it was really full on. We had like a manager for probably 3 years, and it just got to a point where we'd gone through about three different drummers, and it was lockdown then, and it just kind of stifled the momentum. And I don't know, I think it became too political as well, maybe like the lyrics and stuff, and everything that we were known for was quite political. Whereas when we started, it was a bit more indie alternative. So I think it ran its natural course, but we definitely had some great gigs and obviously met some great people that, like yourself, people that are really into music and like venue promoters and stuff like that. And Abbey Moon is three of the members that are in Sister Ray, um, with a guitarist called Tom, who's very much into like the Stone Roses and
Yeah.
Oasis, like the Lars. And yeah, and I think
Bit of your sounds like that, ain't it?
yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's always been there for me. And then I think when we were kind of midway through Sister Ray, it was when punk was becoming quite a big thing. And like, I'm a big fan of punk as well. But I think maybe Abbey Moon is a bit more, indie alternative. And yeah, I think touchstones for me would be the Lars, the Stone Roses, more recently Sam Fender, and also some of the newer Fontaine stuff. I think I'm really like digging that really. So
Yeah, they're
that's
great, isn't
kind
it?
of where I think we sit. Yeah.
I say. So you start out as a band, like do you know about your manager? Did you just have to sort of like promote yourselves at first and then get somebody in as a manager, or did you just sort that out first?
What as Sister Ray or anything,
Oh,
I
and we're
guess.
both really.
Yeah. Well, with Abbey Moon, when we started, it was just purely promoting ourselves. Same as Sister Ray was as well. I guess you can lean on some of the connections that we had, with people that we knew that could help us out with certain things. So, but yeah, we just promoted ourselves for Sister Ray and the same with Abbey Moon. Um, and yeah, recently in Abbey Moon, we've been talking to a couple of people who may help. I'm not saying they'll manage us, but might help just trying to. I think it's more the scheduling, like keeping a schedule because I think these days you've got to release consistently. You got to gig as consistently as you can and do the best gigs you can. And so I think yeah, stuff like that is what we're aiming to do is just to keep releasing as often as we can and then gig, around London, hopefully Manchester and Liverpool and major cities, I guess, and anywhere really. But just planning it so it's worthwhile
Manchester would
for
be great,
everyone.
wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I love. We played in the Castle in Manchester,
Oh yeah.
the Joy Division One and Night and Day Cafe. We played, and also the I don't know if it's still there, but the Yes Basement. I think we played as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be great to get. I love the Northern Quarter and like
Yeah, I
obviously
always
it's
find it's better up
British.
north.
Yeah, to be fair, it's a cliche. I think that as in not a cliche, but I think the fans there are more not as cool as London. London can
Yeah.
be quite snooty and like we play some of the best gigs we have done in London only because we're from here. So we
Yeah.
get friends and obviously people that we know coming. But I think just off the bat, when people don't know you, up north is great. And like the Joiners venue, I don't know if you've ever been to that.
No, I
That's
don't
where we
think so.
supported the Fontaines, but it's incredible. It's just people that live on the street or like the neighbouring streets. They just come to that venue of an evening to watch a live band. It's almost like they don't really care if it's their thing or whether they've heard a lot about you before or whether you're hyped up. It's like if there's a gig on and there's a band, they'll come down and check you out and decide for themselves whether they like it or not. So yeah, up north is good. Yeah, for sure.
Does that seems you're not supporting Fontaines? Did you support Dodgy as well? Played with Dodgy or something?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Dodgy we played with recently. That was last year. Well, I say dodgy. The specific gig we did for Abbey Moon was supporting Nigel on his own. He was doing like an acoustic run of dates. But yeah, it was a good gig. There was three bands on. We were just before him, so he had a good crowd, and we kind of met a lot of people through it who have come to gigs since as well. And yeah, Nigel himself was great. It's good to hear some of those songs like
Yeah.
"Staying Out for the
Did he
Summer"
gi-
and "Grassman." Yeah.
did he give you any sort of advice or anything, or give you any
Uh,
tips?
yeah, I mean, it was good because we'd played with him before as Sister Ray.
Yeah.
So it was like he remembered us from when we played with him before, and it was quite nice to hear him say that he thought what we were doing now was maybe even better than what we were doing previously. And he was saying he thought we sounded a bit like the Strokes, which I don't personally think so, but I'm a big fan of the Strokes.
You
So
see it a bit, to be fair.
yeah, a little bit. I mean, I guess it's not a kind of like immediate one you think of, but yeah, no, he was lovely. He invited us to watch them at the Horn in St Albans as well, which was after we played with them. And yeah, no, he was great. I wouldn't say he offered any specific advice, but he was just encouraging in that he thinks the tunes we had are good and some of the newer stuff we've not released, and just gives you that little bit of affirmation
Yeah.
that oh, we might be onto something. Let's carry on. So yeah, he's a lovely, really nice guy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's ace. See, I've
Mm.
chatted to like some like solo musicians. That's the only ones I've really done. So it's good to get like
Yeah, yeah,
some perspective on it. Like, so you see, you're like when you're songwriting process and things, do you do it as
yeah.
like a group or? Because I always think of a band, it might be a little bit easier because you can sort of bounce things off each other and someone can say
Yeah,
right or not. It's
yeah, definitely. I think 90% of the time it will be someone will bring an idea in. So it'll be, it could be me or the guitarist Tom, and we'll come into the rehearsal room with a set of chords and a melody, and then yeah, and then we'll play that. So the song, I guess if it was say Getaway Car, that was actually around in 2014 as a demo.
is it?
So it was a long time ago, yeah. And then it didn't really fit what we were doing with Sister Ray back then, but I always thought it was pretty good. So it was pretty much written, but like the guitar line on it, which is a bit kind of Smithsy, and obviously the drums and the bass wasn't me. That was all the other band members. So I think sometimes they can be more fully formed, and then other times, like the bassist might say, "Oh, maybe we should change this bit and slow it down here," or a producer might say, "Oh, maybe slow that section down and add another chorus." But most of the 90% of the time for us at the moment, it's either me or Tom has a set of chords and a melody, and then everyone will add their part or maybe change a tiny bit. But we aren't one of the bands at the moment that just go in and jam. And I think the Stone Roses, from what I've read and watched of their documentaries, they seem to be maybe more out of a jam, and then they'd get like a bit of music and Ian Brown would sing over the top, which I think is great. But at the moment, we've not really done that.
Yeah, you've got to be together
And
for
I
a while,
think
I suppose, to take that
yeah,
level.
and yeah, and I guess it depends. I think John Squire wrote the music, didn't he? So like he probably maybe he wrote the basis of it, and then the band just drummed on it, and obviously they added their bit. But I do like that style of writing as well. But yeah, at the moment it's mainly me or Tom with an idea, and then it gets built upon until it becomes something that everyone's in. I mean, at the moment we've got three new songs that we're looking to release. Probably late April will be the first one, and then the following month will be another, and then the following month, and they were all recorded. The Albion Rooms in Margate. It's the
Yeah, yeah, there's
Liberty
the
Studio.
Libertines
Yeah,
thing in it because it was a
yeah,
hotel as well or something in it.
yeah. They've
Yeah,
shut it now to the public, but they still do some gigs in the downstairs bar, and they've got a studio in there. And if you record there, you have the option to stay in the hotel. So we recorded there for a weekend. We did three new tracks with a guy called Jason who produces there. And we did a gig while we were there as well, like a little acoustic gig in the main bar. And those three songs, I think, are probably for me, they're the better things we've done so far. And we'll release them in April, May, and then we'll culminate in an EP with a couple of B-sides. And I think all of those songs were like, you know, came from chords, and then everyone added their bit to them. But we're writing so much at the moment. Like I'd say, because we've got Tom, who's a relatively new guitarist. He started his first gig was the one with Nigel Clark from Dodgy, and yeah, he adds so much because he's very on a similar wavelength in terms of influences, and he's just a very good guitarist. So I think having him on board and that input has accelerated everyone else to like kind of because he wants to write more and more, and he's obviously got his own songs that he's bringing as well. So I think we'll hopefully have a lot of songs out this year and just gain as much momentum as we can really, and as many gigs as we can.
Yeah, that's what you want. See with
Yeah.
your lyrics and your writing, are they like did he come from a personal place or do you just sort of like can you just like write anything sort of down and
Um,
make it a good
I
song?
think I think I've always been heavily into lyrics, like from Alex Turner's stuff to I don't know, even like early listening to like Eminem when I was in school, and you know,
Yeah.
like and now maybe Kendrick Lamar, just lyricism in general, I've always liked. I guess it tends to be social commentary, but something like Getaway Car was just basically about that kind of old guy you might see at the pub who will tell you that, you know, don't end up like me or you know, chase your dreams kind of thing. And so it wasn't really autobiographical, but I think everyone's probably seen a couple of those characters that are,
Yeah.
you know, they might tell you about what they could have done and should have done, and like the glass is half empty kind of thing and never been full. It's kind of like a yearning and also it was influenced by, you know, like songs like Son of a Gun by the Lars and stuff like that. You know, you don't want to get stuck in not chasing your dreams or going for something. So, and then like Friends of Mine was more just about mates that I've grown up with, that you don't see for like maybe 7 years, but you know, if you do see them, it will just be like no time has
Yeah.
passed because they're those kind of mates. So, yeah, I mean, lyrics is a big thing for me, and I try and you know put a lot into them or make sure that they actually mean something to me as much as to anyone else. But yeah, I think Alex Turner's a big touchstone for lyrics, and even like you know Noel Gallagher gets a lot of stick for his lyrics sometimes. I think for being quite like nonsensical, but for me, when I listen to a lot of his lyrics, I always think there's a feeling there, and
So yeah,
like
they
you know
do
he's got
work either
some
way, don't they?
amazing
Like what
lines.
now?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love it, no Gallagher. See with sort of starting out as well, like so I spoke to someone that wanted to sort of ask a bit of advice for it. They want a bit of advice on like how would they wanted to sort of throw themselves into gigging and stuff like, but they don't really know how to
Mm.
go about it. Like how did you just start doing it? Did you just throw yourself into it?
Yeah, I mean, when the first gig I ever did was with our old band, Sister Ray, we really probably shouldn't have done the gig because we weren't well rehearsed enough. Um, we we basically just sent an email to a promoter, which you can still do now. Like if you go online and look at a venue and see who promotes at that venue, you can then email that promoter and then just say, look, I'm looking for a show. You know, I might they might ask you how many people you can probably bring to the show, but there's a lot of good promoters that will give you a chance, and they won't ask you to bring a certain amount of people, or you could just get really low on a bill first, so that you're not, you know, there's no pressure on you to bring a certain amount of people. And I think it's once you do a few of them, you know, you get to know other people that are promoting, or the promoter you first gig with might be, you know, might really like what you do and then keep booking you or book you for something else. So I think it's probably just throw yourself in the deep end really, and email people and go to shows as well, and see who's promoting the shows that you go to. And speaks to, you know, if a band messages us on Instagram or a young person that's starting out, like we're not gonna not reply. Like do as much as we can to like help them, or if there are kind of music, give them a slot on a show that we're doing if we're doing our own show and we've got a say in it. But yeah, I think you know there's always people that'll help out as well. Like you know, we're not a massive band that's not going to reply to someone, so yeah,
Yeah.
we'd always be happy to give advice to people.
Yeah, so I've been chatting to the Mystery Jets. And I'm hopefully going to do a chat with the
Mm.
Mystery Jets.
Mm.
So I'm trying to get one sorted with just like with a little sort of an established band as well to get sort of their perspective on it now as well. So like
Yeah,
been
yeah, yeah,
chatting
yeah,
to
yeah.
Embrace and the Mystery Jets. I'm
Oh
hoping
wow, yeah, yeah,
we
yeah,
get one of
yeah,
them.
yeah.
That'd be
Embrace
quite
both
cool, I
good bands.
think. That'd be good.
Yeah,
I don't want to try and stray too far from it because I like chatting to up and coming
yeah,
artists because you get it's a better view on it. I think it's good to see how they're doing things. I think.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it'd be good to hear the Mystery Jets though, because they've been around a while, but I guess it'd be interesting to see how they think it's changed since they
yeah.
first broke through all those years ago. Because I feel like
See,
they've
I
come
went to see
from
them
that
in Cortinas in
first.
December and they were brilliant.
Yeah, where was that at?
Brixton Academy.
Okay, yeah,
It was
yeah,
good.
that's
I like
class. Yeah,
Brixton anyway as a venue. It's a great
yeah, it's a
venue for a
great
gig like
venue. Yeah,
that, a
with
sweaty
the
gig.
sloping floor and
Yeah,
going up. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I've seen them Gaslight Anthem and Prodigy there, so they've all been great gigs.
But Gaslight Anthem, our bassist is a massive fan of them.
Yeah,
Michael, yeah, he loves them.
yeah.
I've not actually seen them live. I've seen the Prodigy at Reading, and that was one of the craziest crowds I've been in. I didn't I should have expected it, but it was bonkers. Yeah,
Yeah, it's one of them you expect it to be mad, but not as mad as what it actually turns out to be. It's
it
great with
was
Prodigy,
yeah, it's
mate.
insane. I think I had probably Factor 50 on, and because of Reading, all the dust was coming up.
Yeah.
And obviously, I didn't know. Like, there was Prodigy into Arctic Monkeys, and then when I went back to the tent, everyone was like, "Yeah, did you like fall over or something?" To my whole face, just from the dust sticking to like Factor 50 sun cream. I look like I've been like rubbed in the dirt, basically, coming back in the trenches.
Have you got any sort of unexpected inspiration behind the band? There's like obviously you've got your
Uh,
sort of indie feel, but is there anything you wouldn't actually think out there, a bit out there for inspiration?
um, maybe like I wouldn't say it's out there, but books and stuff as for lyrics,
Yeah,
like not out there, but like I love. Um, like Bret Easton Ellis, like Less Than Zero, and he did American Psycho as well.
yeah,
I like him just for the fact that he talks about youth and people being a bit like, I mean, I think that was the 80s. He was writing about people in LA being kind of like detached from reality, and I think it's really similar to our generation now, where you've got a lot of people that are just it's what you see online, but you see influencers and stuff like TikTok taking
yeah,
over, and just this a lot of fake stuff, and people just seem like they're really self-consumed. And I think that comes into a lot of our lyrics at times. I mean, I really like Kendrick Lamar as a lyricist
yeah,
as
yeah,
well. That's maybe one that I kind of got into him a few years ago, and I've carried on listening to his albums. And I think it's just social commentary. Like, obviously, I can't relate to someone who lives in Compton, but I can relate to the way he writes. So,
yeah,
like, I think for instance, he's got a line that's, I think he says, life is like uh, a set of hydraulics or something, like, is in a car going up and down. And he's like, you better learn how to ride it. Like, lines like that. Just,
yeah. I like
I
that.
think that's a good line no matter what. And, so like that would probably be not necessarily unexpected because he's so big now, but I think yeah, I'd listen to any kind of lyrics, and most bands I'll give a try. Like recently got into the Brian Jonestown Massacre, which I
Oh, mate,
hadn't
they're so
really
good. They are
yeah, I
so
hadn't
good.
really delved into
Never
them,
really meet
but
anybody that likes them either. Like it's hard to
yeah,
find a Brian, and they're so good. They're like I only
yeah,
know
they're
about three
brilliant.
of them.
Yeah.
I was at a festival in Portsmouth in July time, I think, with like Fatboy
Hmm.
Slim and all there. And the guy camping next to us, he was a massive Brian Jonestown Massacre
Yeah,
fan. He
yeah.
kept trying to get me into his tent to like listen to them and stuff. It was a good crack. Like it was
No, they're
good.
a great band. I think I saw them at Brixton Academy literally a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, I thought they were. I mean, I didn't know if to expect them to be like fighting or arguing, but they didn't, and it was a yeah great gig. About 2 hours, they played like Servo and Anemone and all the bigger
Yeah,
tracks you'd expect. So it was a bit of a eye opener for me because they've got about I don't know fucking loads of albums, and I'm
yeah.
trying to kind of listen to bits and bobs to get into them. But
So many different
our
types of
guitarist Tom loves them.
the albums as well, isn't there? Like
So
you could
different,
just pick
yeah.
one genre from it.
No, no, not at all. They're all over the shop, but I think they're great. Yeah, great bands. So maybe that would be a little bit unexpected, but that's more Tom, our guitarist, loves them as well. So he,
Yeah.
he kind of got me into them. But yeah, they're brilliant.
Was that, did you say he's got an album? If he's got an album plan coming out, like, or is
I
it just going to
think
be
for
sort of
us,
EPs for now?
I think what we'll do is we'll continue to release singles. We'll try and because John Kennedy played us for our first single release. So we'll try and keep on pushing it to, like tastemakers like John, who's a great kind of what it's like a really I think he's just a really good person for new music because
Yeah, he had a bit of
he's
good bit
so
of
into
praise,
it.
didn't he? About the create, he said something about Creation Records or something.
Yeah, which was great.
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of I didn't think he would say something like that, but it was a great like tagline for us to kind of use.
yeah,
And I think we just need more of that. We need to get more singles and we need to gig more, and then hopefully in time, I think we'll release an album. But I think everyone would want it to be right and have the right team around us because I think that's another thing for solo artists or bands is that as good as the songs are, I think you do need a very good team around you. So you need a good manager. You don't necessarily need a label anymore, but you do need like someone who's going to help you do your plug-in to go to radio and to go to the press. And I think you just need people on your side that are kind of rooting for you and people that will basically help your vision come into fruition and like push you to the right people and like people like yourself even, like just give a platform for people to have a chat and try and get your name out there. So I think we'll definitely do an album, but it'd probably be maybe hopefully if things go well early next year or mid next year, but we've definitely got a lot of songs coming through, so I think we're not short of songs and ideas that are good and they work thematically, but the EPs for now and singles.
quality. Well, that's it, really. That was like all I wanted to sort of like talk about, and like I appreciate it, but thanks for doing it. Like.
Nah, thanks for having me, man. I mean, we'll give the page